Hi, welcome to Testing Using the Cloud. This is an introductory overview webinar for introducing the concepts of testing using the cloud. Again, welcome to Testing in the Cloud. The topics covered in this webinar are going to include a definition of cloud testing, the advantages and disadvantages of testing in the cloud, testing types you can do in the cloud, a comparison of on-premise versus cloud testing, and the challenges you may encounter when you move to testing in the cloud. Let's start with our cloud testing definition. Cloud testing means you're testing on an internet-based platform where your computing services like database, the APIs, anything your application needs to connect are accessed remotely. For example, your test data is stored in the cloud, your access to devices or services, including SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS options, are all cloud-based. They're not sitting on a server that you manage yourself. SaaS is software as a service, and that's an software application that runs on a cloud base. Same with platform as a service or PaaS. The platform runs on a cloud base and is provided by a cloud provider. Again, the same with infrastructure as a service. You can pay for a cloud provider to provide you the complete infrastructure to run your application. Cloud testing refers to tools and services that you access remotely or externally, instead of accessing them from your business-owned and managed internal servers. Cloud testing advantage, and part of cloud testing is executable either on-premise using a cloud provider or by using an external service provider. So you may use your servers and databases always in the cloud. Cloud testing also means services specific to QA or software testing. Testing access to real devices that are available in the cloud. For example, there's many companies that provide access to mobile phones, mobile phone devices, tablets, and programs like different laptops, configurations of laptops with Windows and Apple and others. And all of those devices you have available for testing, but they're all managed by the provider and not you. This gives you testing access to real data with types matching your application. For example, if you're going to test in the cloud, you would not use your live data, but replace that live data type and structure and migrate that data to the cloud for testing. It'll simulate your production data, but it's not your actual production data. Cloud testing is really done well for load and performance testing simulations. Depending on the type of cloud you pick, which we'll go over in a minute, this gives you a really live look, real world live look at how your application will perform in a variety of instances. And that brings us to TaaS, or testing or tech as a service. TaaS is the outsourcing of testing to a provider or service. So your testing becomes a project, and you outsource that project to a testing company provider. For example, Applause or Testlio, they provide crowd testing services where they manage your testers and provide the testware and the test execution, and they manage it all themselves. So what you'll end up getting is a result based on your contract, maybe a result summary report, or you may have access to the actual test cases and test reports. There are 4 types of cloud testing categories in general. There's the whole cloud, where you're testing based on a single entity, or that single entity is the whole cloud, and there's no interactions with other cloud types. Testing within a cloud, this is done by cloud vendors themselves, so their QA teams would be testing their internal cloud features. Testing across cloud, may occur for you because it refers to testing different options for the cloud. So you may be using a private, public, or hybrid cloud, or passing data and actions back and forth between them. SaaS testing in the cloud or software as a service. So you're using a software based and controlled within the cloud to test all of your requirements and user stories using the data you have stored in the cloud. There are many advantages to using cloud testing. Cost is per use in most cases, so you only get charged for testing when it's planned and scheduled. There's no test management needed internally. Everything that's regarding testing is handled by the service. The testing can be performed literally anywhere with a secure or insecure internet connection. The preference would be a secure internet connection. But literally, you can test in-house using the cloud. You can test anywhere where you can get an internet connection. Testing becomes more scalable when it's performed only as needed. So you can schedule testing whenever it fits in your schedule. There are also disadvantages to cloud testing to consider. QA testers may be external to the development team. Now, granted, you might have internal QA testers and then supplement your testers with cloud testing services. But if you have QA testers that are external to your development team, you will get some communication issues. So the interpretation of reported defect reports, any questions or problems with those reports, you need to go back and forth through external communication channels to resolve. And that might add some time to your project. Depending on the cloud provider and what you've set up, your testware, including test cases, test plans, test summary reports, may not be accessible to you without additional cost. Also, your application code, which is likely in development, may or may not be available to public access in the cloud. Your test data creation step is going to be necessary to retain your data security and privacy. So you're going to have to spend some time creating test data and migrating it to the cloud. Cloud testing types. You can do literally any testing in the cloud. But let's go over some typical testing types. You can do your functional testing, your standard feature and functional testing using a variety of platforms and devices if you have access to those in the cloud provider. You can do end-to-end or system testing, again, with a variety of platforms and devices. The same with load and stress and performance. Security, again, the same. You can do all your security testing using the cloud for your application, your APIs, and your data. One distinct advantage is you can do multi-tenancy testing quite easily in the cloud. So you can verify your application functions when any number of users are logging in and performing functions. Compatibility testing is an advantage in the cloud because you can test all types of testing across a variety of platforms, devices, and the configuration contained within them. Now let's do a quick comparison between on-premise versus cloud testing. On on-premise testing, you're doing your testing using servers that are on-site or in a connected data center. So you know where those databases and servers are located, and you can access them. All the transactions that occur between your applications, the databases, and the servers were all internally managed by the business. So you can manipulate them to do simulated testing if you need to. Now let's talk about cloud testing. All those actions that were on-premise are now in the cloud. So your database storage is offsite and it's managed by the cloud provider, not by you. Your database could be stored literally anywhere around the globe. And you may not have access to manipulate or simulate tests with that data. The transactions that occur between the cloud and the database and the applications is all managed externally. Which brings up some cloud testing challenges you may encounter. Data privacy and security. Your data can be stored in an offsite location. You don't know where they are, and they are only known to the cloud provider. With some businesses, this may not work because regulatory requirements require the data to be housed within the US. There's different cloud models. So you have to decide whether you're picking a hybrid, a private, a whole cloud, or a public cloud, or a combination of those. Setting up the testing environment configuration, depending on what type of cloud model you use, is different. So it may take some time to understand how to set up those connections and what data you can and cannot manipulate. Test environment control limitations, again, are you able to change the data, bounce a server, any of that type of testing actions you may have performed on premise may not be able to be done with a cloud provider. Connectivity and bandwidth issues may occur, depending again what cloud model you use. You may have other users in the cloud, which may affect your application's performance. This cloud testing overview is complete. Thank you for your attendance.